And the players will be the ones receiving that prize pool. Especially these players. We're in the round of 8 now. So both of these players will make money, but one of them will make more money than the other because they'll move on to that round of 4. Spawning in the upper left-hand corner of Gresfon, we have the red Zerg player, Scarlett. One of the best non-Korean Zergs of all time. An OG favorite. And speaking of OG, in the lower right-hand corner, we have the blue Zerg, Dongregu. I mean, both of these players, just 2 of my all-time favorites. But yes, the Matcherino, I'm really thankful to Matcherino. They've put money towards a lot of the tournaments I've run over the years, probably over 100 tournaments at this point. And it's, you know, it's just little bits of money, right? 25-cent codes, there's 50 of them. But if we redeem them all, it's just extra money in the pockets of these players. Again, over the last few years, it's probably been a couple $100s. And they do also sponsor tournaments like separately. They'll put on whole events. And in fact, I think the Africa Champions Cup, if I remember correctly, Matcherino was a big sponsor of that. They've done a lot of StarCraft. They do, like, you can organize other game tournaments on there. There are plenty of other games that organize tournaments on there, but StarCraft is their main focus. And I think over $1 million in prize pool in total has gone through Matcherino to the pockets of the players. So it's just a good way to kind of divvy that up and have a centralized location for people to add to the prize pool as well. If you look at a bracket for KSL, we're funded by the Patreon completely. But if you looked at a bracket and you were like, man, this bracket is sick, I want these players to make a little extra cash, and you wanted to add to that prize pool, we open up a Matcherino for each tournament, each individual weekly, so that people can add to the prize pool if they want to, so that we can get those codes. There's also like sponsor quests on there that usually add like 20 cents to the prize pool or something that people will do. I mean, I'm of the opinion that anything is worth, you know, putting out there. We don't always redeem all the codes. We don't always get extra money donated to the prize pool, but if it happens occasionally, it's worth it. And there's been a few weeks where we've had an extra, you know, $100 or more added to the prize pool from kind viewers who were just happy with the bracket, wanted to see more money go into those players' pockets. And it's possible thanks to Matcherino, who also have a StarCraft team now. And in fact, Future is playing in this bracket, and Future is one of the team members of Matcherino's esports team. Anyways, now that we've gotten that spiel out of the way, Scarlett's making a whole bunch of lings here. That's not like an all-in or anything, but it's ZVZ. Got to get a little aggressive occasionally, and now DRG is going to have to be on the defensive. There are a few banelings back at home, but Scarlett wants to put some pressure onto this third, and it's going quite well. Now the banelings are going to come out. Woo! Scarlett pulls back very late, but in time to dodge those banes. And that's just kind of the back and forth you usually expect to see. Scarlett is droning up behind this. Scarlett was just taking the initiative there. ZVZ's a lot about that kind of back and forth posturing. And you can choose, do you want to make your drones and then make lings and banes to defend, which can put you in a precarious position. Say DRG is a little bit late on these banes. Maybe Scarlett's able to get damage done with those lings. In this case, it worked out, timed out perfectly. Scarlett drones behind it, ends up a little bit ahead in workers, but they're a little bit later. It's very, very equalized. In fact, this game is pretty dead on right now. One thing that's a big difference between them, actually, DRG does not have a lair. Has +1 going a lot earlier than Scarlett, but Scarlett's lair is done. So Scarlett can get into roach speed a lot sooner and could actually try to go for a big push with that roach speed. But without +1, her roaches are just going to be worse than DRG's. Oh, I haven't gotten to cast a ton of ZVZ over the last year or so. We don't get a lot of ZVZs in the KSL. It's kind of nice to see a very Zerg-heavy bracket. Ooh, it's not nice to see Baneling hits like that, though. Scarlett loses pretty much all of those lings to one Baneling and doesn't get anything done with her Banes. They try to run into that mineral line. And DRG says, hey, I just killed all your lings when I head across the map. There are 10 roaches on the way, but you know what? They're not here yet. These queens are on their own. There's no transfused energy. Banelings are going to come in. Looks like it's just the one Bane, but these queens are going to go down. The lings are going to try to dive on a couple of these low drones. I think they got one. Woo-hoo-hoo. Second one goes down to that last Baneling. A lot of red drones, but not a lot of dead drones. Just a couple going down there. Scarlett holds. Honestly, the big damage is going to be those two queens dying. This game is going well for DRG so far, but we're heading into the mid game now, so things are going to kind of slow down a little bit, and it's going to be all about the roaches, not as much about those lings. Roaches aren't as larva intensive, so Scarlett missing a little bit of inject uptime here, losing those queens. Not the biggest deal in the world. You're going to have enough larvae to get roaches out, generally speaking. And Scarlett's not even worried about roaches because, hey, there's 5 mutas on the way. That Spire is done. And this is why Scarlett got into that lair quickly. This is why Scarlett skipped that +1. I think she is going to start it up now, but she is going to be over 1 full upgrade behind. Oh, she's trying to jump on this army, but I think with that +1, DRG should just be able to hold this. The closer reinforcements as well. Scarlett forcing DRG to make a lot of roaches right now, though, and DRG is just absolutely not going to be ready for these mutas to come out. And these mutas might be able to clean up a good handful of drones. Now he sees it. Now he drops down spore crawlers in each mineral line. It's just 5 mutas at the moment, though. There's another one on the way, and maybe more behind that, but we don't see +1 for the mutas, so it's just going to be what these 5 mutas can get done, really. 5 drones so far, but DRG says, okay, you spent that money to make mutas. I'm going to push across the map. DRG has a lot more roaches than Scarlett, and they have that +1, and Scarlett is not in position on top of this ramp, and suddenly DRG is just in the third, going after some of the drones. Drones getting pulled. They're not going to turn and fight. Scarlett is absolutely going to lose this fight. The mutas coming back to try to help clean this up. Obviously, the mutas can kill the roaches, but can they kill them in time? The answer is no, as Scarlett taps out of game number 1. And DRG gets a nice quick victory there. Felt like a bit of a wonky build order from Scarlett. I was really surprised not to see any +1 at all. She wanted to get into those mutas very quickly, but it didn't feel like they paid off necessarily. DRG really took advantage of it. I mean, it's hard to know in that moment exactly where your opponent is in terms of their army, economically. You just took a little bit of drone damage, but DRG correctly assumed that he was ahead in roaches, and could click on Scarlett's roaches and see, hey, you don't have that +1. Mine is done. I am halfway to +2. I'm just going to try to shove across the map. You can always pull back if it doesn't seem like it's going to work. But in that situation, it ended up working beautifully. Scarlett did not have enough mutas, and they weren't hitting those roaches early enough to do substantial damage to them. 5 or 6 mutas just doesn't kill enough roaches fast enough to really turn the tide there. And that means we're heading to a game 2 on Ancient Cistern. We're up 1-0. Ready to head into that semifinals of this Zerg Fest we have today. It is DRG, the Dong Regu, and his opponent in the lower left-hand corner in the red, the Shopify Rebellion. It's Scarlett. These are 2 fan favorites. DRG certainly was the best Zerg in the world at one point in like 2012 and had some really sick matches back in those days. Did go to his military service and has since returned. Has had some strong showings here and there, but overall I don't think has gotten back to that form that we were maybe hoping DRG could get back to. We've seen some good results, but none of them at the big major tournaments. But I'm really happy to see him signing up for weekly cups and things like that still, and clearly doing very well. Taking down Scarlett in game 1. Scarlett is no slouch. She has been one of the strongest non-Korean players over the history of StarCraft 2. She won IEM Pyeongchang in 2018? Yeah, it was 2018, right? Because it was during the Olympics that were held just outside of Seoul in Korea. And that event was actually connected to the Olympics. I mean, it wasn't an Olympic StarCraft event, but it was as close to that as we'll probably ever get. As ESL worked with the Olympics to put on that event. which I just thought was so cool, and what a awesome way to like honor the fact that you're holding the Olympics in Seoul, and how important StarCraft is to Korea. It's a really cool event. Scarlett absolutely dominated SOS in the grand finals with a build that was later patched out of the game. It was back in those days, you could get Dropper Lords just on Hatch Tech. I think you just needed an Evo Chamber, and you could morph your Overlords into Dropper Lords. I don't remember exactly. I think that's what it was, though. And Scarlett would just rushed a Dropper Lord and got 8-lings into SOS's base and won 4-1. I don't know if every win was that strategy, but I think like 2 or 3 of the wins was just 8-lings drop in the base. SOS can't handle it. Game's over. You know, it was a bit wild. That was also, yeah, it was 2018 because it was right at the start. It was in like January, and Scarlett beat Serral, and that was like the last big competitive match Serral lost before he went on his absolute tear for the entire rest of the year and just didn't lose anything else to anybody. It's good to remember some of the old days of StarCraft. Speaking of which, I know they're doing like a legacy match at the Gamers 8 tournament, which I think is next week. So they're bringing back some other old school people, some players that both of these players have faced in the long ago. MMA, MVP, Stefano. Oh, there was one more. I don't remember who. Playing in a cool StarCraft 2 match. Anyways, enough reminiscing about the past. Let's talk about the future here. The future for DRG is going to be lots of lings, like a whole bunch, like a whole lot of lings. More and more on the way. This third base is done. DRG is not planning on using it for a while, but Scarlett is building roaches back at home. So Scarlett has either correctly deduced what this is or was planning to attack. I think Scarlett's was planning to defend though. But it's hard to say. This roach warren's done very early. There's no Evo chamber. 10 roaches are popping. DRG is going to get hit with the lings. Oh, this is so beautiful from Scarlett. If the lings got in then, those queens are done. They're cooked. And that's a bad start to the defense for Scarlett. But now, roaches are out. They're grouping up in the middle. This is a hard counter to what DRG has. Lings and Banes? Look at this. Look at this natural right here. I mean, this natural is hardened defensively. Now that Evo Chamber takes a little bit of time to go down. The third base is definitely in some trouble. Scarlett's going to have a tough time defending that. Ooh, the roaches get caught out here. The Banelings trying to figure out what they want to hit. Going to try to look for some ling damage, but the roaches holding on for now. Are there any transfuses? It doesn't look like there's too many. I think 1 or 2 went down, but the queens and roaches are starting to fall to these lings as DRG got that beautiful surround. And now it's just the natural here for Scarlett. That was a lot of lings dead for DRG, though, and more lings coming out for Scarlett. And as the Banelings die, Scarlett's lings are going to be able to help tremendously, buffering for these roaches and pushing away DRG. She keeps her third base alive. And, I mean, we got a game on our hands here. DRG's going to keep the pressure on, but is droning behind this. Scarlett is starting to drone as well and remaking those queens, which is crucial. But Scarlett's on the better tech. Scarlett already has roaches out. She's got +1 missile attacks started up. DRG's just dropping the Roach Warren. He is stuck on lings for a while, which means he does have to be kind of aggressive with these lings. He needs to make sure Scarlett stays back. But I love this. Scarlett built a lot of lings in that defense. It's just going to send them out, poke and prod, keep DRG back at home so she can focus on building up that drone count, getting into those roaches. And if she's able to get into a lair, get that +1 finished up, I mean, I think Scarlett's going to be in a fantastic spot. Yeah, I don't know if she wins this fight. I genuinely, Ling battles are super weird to see. They're just in a line fighting. But I think Scarlett's more than happy to take that trade because she's got the real units back at home. These roaches are here. I mean, she can defend if these lings try to push across. Now, the one thing is DRG's units are obviously a lot more mobile than the roaches, especially without roach speed. Scarlett's getting into that lair. DRG also starting it up. Starting up his +1. He's got to know he's behind in this regard. but he's been really focused on just building drones up behind this. That being said, Scarlett still maintaining that worker lead she's had since that attack commenced. Scarlett was up, I think, 4 or 5 workers. It's been kind of sticking around that level. And as the layers finish and roach speed starts up for both players, Scarlett's just going to be ahead in the upgrades. I think this is looking very good for Scarlett. But as we get into the mid game, there's a lot of potential here. Oh my god, DRG's just going for the hatch. Does DRG get this hatch? The drones are getting pulled. Scarlett wants to keep this alive. Down it goes. He just clicked on it. Oh my god, I was not expecting that. Beautifully done. I did see a few drones going down on DRG's side of the map here. Maybe some lings sneaking in or some banelings. So Scarlett dealing some economic damage to DRG, but losing that third is so painful. And Scarlett immediately, she's going to double expand. She's building roaches and ravagers. It looks like she might want to go for a little push here. The lings want to come in. They want to get one drone kill. They do. I don't know if it's worth it for all those lings, but probably is. That's kind of the stuff I'm talking about, though. As we get into the mid game, there's more possibility to find little ways to hurt your opponent or big ways. That is a huge, huge blow to Scarlett's economy. As we see, DRG takes a big economic lead after that. And despite the fact that Scarlett is up 11 workers and is taking a 4th base well before DRG, who hasn't even tried, I mean, DRG's definitely got the better economy here, which means he's going to be able to build more units, and it looks like he's just been building units. He hit 61 drones. He said, that's enough. That's good enough. He's going to drop the Spire behind this, but the Spire is like a backup if this roach push doesn't work, and Scarlett just needs to hold. Now, Scarlett has a few Ravagers. Those can definitely be game changers, but +2 is only halfway done. This is a huge investment for Scarlett in drones and in +2. That is just not useful right now. The Ravagers getting dove on here as the Biles are dodged. That does give Scarlett's Roaches a lot of time to fight, while DRG's Roaches were just running by them. That's actually a big boon here for Scarlett's Roaches. Plus, she has the quicker reinforcement, and this base is done. That's more larva out here. DRG's got to pull back, but now DRG is suddenly way down economically. Down a base, down those 11 workers. Yeah, he killed those Ravagers. Who cares? Scarlett can remake them on a better drone count, on a better economy with +2 about to finish. I think those roaches kind of needed to get crucial damage done to Scarlett, and they didn't. And yes, there are 9 mutas on the way behind this. DRG has that backup plan, and that's why the Spire was going down. So DRG could have something behind that roach push. And the 9 mutas could get a lot of damage done here. I don't think Scarlett's going to be ready for this at all. As the mutas head across, this Overseer is going to be the first thing to spot them. So if Scarlett's paying attention, she can now drop some spores. I think she's got to back these roaches out of here. I don't think she wants to take this fight. She is keeping these units on the other side of the map, though. So you know what? She's going to keep the mutas here. I think she's underestimating how many mutas are in the sky, though, because 9 mutas will start to chew through this. I love that DRG is focusing down the Ravagers first to stop those Biles from going down, but DRG doesn't have enough roaches to really fight this. We're starting to see a little bit of a reverse of last game, but I don't think Scarlett can close it out right here. She just wants to get into Hydras behind this. She's also getting into Burrow and Tunneling Claws. She's got that Carapace upgrade on the way to keep that that upgrade lead she has going. She's going to split the roaches, some of the third, some of the natural, and just keep these mutas at home as long as possible. The Hydra Den is done. Hydra's starting to come out. And if Scarlett pushes again with Roach Hydra, I don't think DRG is going to be able to hang with this. A couple of drones going down. Scarlett mostly just trading out roaches there. And it's not the most cost-effective trade, but as we see, overall, it's been very, very close. And that's obviously going to be better for Scarlett, who is way ahead in workers now. 46 to 68. DRG just has so few workers out. I actually don't see how DRG wins this one now. Scarlett has all the tools at her disposal. If DRG had been the one getting like Burrow and Tunneling Claws, I'd be like, all right, there's a chance, right? But DRG seems to agree. And that makes me feel good as a caster that maybe I kind of know what I'm talking about. DRG realizes the game state and just says, all right, I can't. There's nothing I can do here. Way down economically. Worse army. Roach Hydra is just a better army in a straight up fight. Scarlett evens up the series 1-1. Are we winning? Yes, we are. If by we you mean Scarlett in that game. If by we you mean the viewers, then absolutely, because we're getting Scarlett versus DRG. And that's, I mean, that's a win in my book. I don't know about you guys. Hope you guys are enjoying these games as much as I am. I've been loving them so far. As a reminder, if you want to see more games like this, please support the Patreon if it's at all possible for you. Completely understand if you can't. Thank you for watching. Thank you for partaking in the experience that is the KSL. But we want to keep this going as long as we can. We have a big tournament coming at the end of August that I'm very excited for. And, I mean, these players, with the points they'll get from this event, might be able to get that one step closer to qualifying just through playing in the weeklies. There will be a qualifier as well, so hopefully we'll see them there if they don't make it through by points. Spawning in the upper right-hand corner of Royal Blood, we have the Red Zerg for the Shopify Rebellion, Scarlett. And our opponent in the lower left-hand corner in the blue, it's the Goo, the Dongray Goo. The one true dong. Get your dongers ready. But yes, I really do appreciate everybody who supports the Patreon. This tournament, I mean, it wouldn't be possible without the money, because I don't know if you guys know this, but pro players don't like playing in tournaments where there's no prize. I keep trying to ask them, I'm like, hey, do you guys want to play in a tournament? They're like, all right, what's the prize? And I'm like, I don't know, you just win. You win the tournament. Who needs money, right? Nobody needs money. And they're like, no, we have to eat. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't realize. I didn't realize pro gamers ate. And that was my bad. That was my mistake. So I'm letting you guys know. What? What is happening? What's happening? I'm over on DRG's side of the map, and Scarlett's like, no, look over here. Oh, man. Oh, this is beautiful. This is a beautiful thing. DRG's going to scout. Do you think DRG agrees that this is a beautiful thing? So this is a macro hatch for Scarlett. But I also think this might be a wall. We could see some sort of two-base play here at a Scarlett. So obviously you get more larva from the macro hatch. We'll see when the pool finishes. If we start seeing like lings come out and speed on the way, then this is just full-on macro hatch. But we could see this used as a big powerful wall so that Scarlett can stay on two bases for a little bit longer. I don't know this build. This feels like a highly creative build. See, somebody in chat said Cats build. This does feel like a Cats build. Triple queen production as well. 3 queens is kind of wild to me. But okay, Scarlett giving us some spice here. Let's see how DRG responds. So far, this looks like a fairly normal macro game out of DRG. And Scarlett just took a quick third in the wrong location. That seems to be what it is. Scarlett just still droning up. Both players getting into ling speed. Haven't seen any Baneling nests or Roach Warrens go down. So I'm very intrigued what the theory of this quick third hatch is, this macro hatch. It's obviously going to be very safe, right? Like, DRG can't do anything about this hatch being here. But other than that, it doesn't seem like it's giving Scarlett too much of an advantage. The larva advantage is definitely a real thing. We see both players don't have any extra larva, but that means Scarlett's spending all that larva. Okay, there it is. There it is. As I look at the larva, Scarlett starts building a ton of links. And Yeah, this makes sense. So this is how you utilize that larva advantage from having a quicker third hatch with triple inject. And now DRG's got to pull all the way back. What did I say earlier? A baneling nest. Where is it? There isn't one. Oh no, Scarlett coming in here with the macro hatch build. And is just going to overwhelm with lings. Now DRG has a nice wall here. Going to send the lings out front. That queen falls, but there are a couple queens back here. I'm surprised DRG didn't go for the full wall. I feel like you got to go for a full wall here. But DRG's trying to get more lings out to defend this base. No injects at this third base means there's going to be more larva for Scarlett, but DRG should be able to get a decent amount out in terms of defense. But a few drones going down already here, and it seems like Scarlett is winning this fight. 20 more lings on the way and a roach warren. Scarlett's got a third coming up behind this. DRG finally pushes his back with those reinforcements being a lot closer. But the queens are dead. The injects are gone. There's going to be no larva for DRG, and Scarlett's just going to be able to make lings on lings on lings. Worker count too close to make too much of a difference in terms of getting those lings out. Both players will be able to spend their money. Carapace is on the way for DRG, so if this game goes a little bit longer, DRG will have that upgrade advantage on the lings and potential roaches. Scarlett wants to kill this base. I feel like that's a big thing here. Scarlett's building 9 roaches as well. She is just going to keep pressuring across the map. She's got a third base. She says, I don't need drones at that base. Silly. I'll just keep building units. She drops a Bane Nest as well to keep the pressure on. That +1 Carapace is going to come in real handy for DRG if he's able to stay alive long enough to get for Scarlett to get some Banelings out. DRG gets a roach out as well. That roach might end up just dying here as it gets surrounded. The third base still in a lot of trouble, but DRG trying to just hold on to it. Scarlett seems more interested in taking the fight. She keeps turning around immediately and trying to push these lings back. That's allowing DRG to keep this base up. He gets another queen out, gets another inject on this base. Will the base stay alive long enough to pop that larva? It looks like the answer is yes. But Scarlett has so much stuff behind this, and she is just going to send out all of the reinforcements across the map. DRG has been building nothing but units, but look at that supply. Oh my god. Scarlett still has extra larva back at home, but she's morphing Banes right now, and even with that Carapace upgrade, the overwhelming number of units from Scarlett, well, it might just overwhelm DRG. DRG's just building units, going to try to hold on here. Are there any transfuses on these queens? I don't think so. The Banelings are smashing. The Gs are dropping, and Scarlett takes the 2-1 victory over DRG. More like DRGG. As Scarlett moves on to the semifinals